So my first fact is that I tend to be really well known as someone who's very computer literate and knows a lot about technology and those kinds of things. But way back in the mid-1980s, when I was studying computer programming at college, I did about 2 years of that course and failed, which is probably quite surprising for someone who's sort of known the way I am for my computing knowledge. But yep, I failed at that, not because I couldn't do it, but because I found it excessively boring, as computer programming can be, especially back then when I wanted to be programming computer games, and there was no such course for programming computer games, so I got stuck learning how to program business software, which around that time I was 16, 17, and you can imagine how exciting business software is to someone of that age. So that's fact number one. Fact number two, if you weren't aware, I'm not actually single. Yes, I can hear everybody sort of groaning now. I've been with my partner now for just around about 8 years, and I met her on the internet. I was living in Western Australia and she was living here in South Australia, where I am now. Met her online, came over to South Australia for a holiday, and if you're not aware of how big Australia is, just think of the size of the United States and like the continent of the United States. I was living in Perth, Western Australia, which is on the west coast, and my partner lives in Gawler, South Australia, which is pretty much not quite in the middle, but a bit further over, leaning towards the east coast. So I came over for a 2-week holiday. On the strength of that, we got along really well. About 3 months later, I packed up my whole life into, well, the most important parts of my whole life into 4 computer monitor boxes and moved over to South Australia, and I've been here ever since with my partner. So that's fact number 2. Fact number 3. What else can I tell you? You might not know that I used to be a skateboarder, ride a skateboard, and in fact I still consider myself to be a skateboarder, even though I don't skate that often. I still have my skateboard and I keep it in the boot of my car just in case I decide to give it a whirl. That's not really the fact I was going to tell you. Leading on from that is that I actually broke my leg skateboarding. And for those of you that know skateboarding terminology, it was way back in the early 90s. I was skating on a 9-foot half pipe and still learning how to do aerial manoeuvres. And back then, the way to do an aerial manoeuvre was doing an early grab. I did a manoeuvre called a backside stalefish, and for those of you that know what one of those looks like, you'll know that your back leg pretty much sits right underneath your body when you hold it, and I happened to land with my back leg still right underneath my body, and the stress of that and the weight from my body just snapped my ankle, or the bone in my lower right leg just above the ankle. In fact, both bones, because my leg bent in half 90 degrees where it shouldn't, and consequently I have a big scar on my right ankle now, because the bone didn't actually come out from the skin. It just snapped and went back, so you couldn't even tell it was broken until it started swelling up. And I had a steel plate put in it. Didn't have to be in plaster, fortunately, but was out of skateboarding for about 3 months. But the scar was from having the plate put in, not from actually breaking the leg. So that's fact 3. Fact 4. I may have probably said it in my other videos, but given that I paint a lot of cats in my paintings, I'm actually not that big of a cat lover. I do like cats, and I have 2 pet cats at my home, but I wouldn't say I like cats any more than I like dogs or any other animal for that matter. I'm certainly not a fanatic about cats. They're interesting to paint simply because cats tend to express a lot of independent personality, more so than what dogs do, but dogs have their own personalities too, but yeah. So fact number 4 is I'm not a fanatical cat lover, but yeah, I just paint cats because, well, there's a lot of people that like cats and they sell really well, and I actually don't mind painting them. There's a lot of humour to be found in painting pictures of cats. Fact number 5. You will probably be interested to know that it took me 3 attempts to get into art school. The first time I tried getting into art school to study for a diploma in graphic design, I was 15, 16 years old. To get into art school you had to do a portfolio of work, some of which consisted of your own work and some of it that consisted of set works that the college specified for you to do. So the first time I tried I was sort of 15, 16, did the whole portfolio, really put in the effort, and the college decided that I was probably a bit too young to do the course. Probably largely due to the life drawing element that was in it, maybe, I don't know, but that's what they told me anyway, and that's how I ended up doing computer programming at college. The second time I tried, I was at a stage where I wasn't really interested in going to college. I think I was about maybe 17, 18, probably even 19 years old. I was more than happy to just do my own thing, try and get a job or whatever, but gave it another try getting into college. Didn't really do that great with the portfolio, and consequently didn't get accepted. Roll on a few more years till when I was about I would have been maybe 22, 23, somewhere around there, not entirely sure. I finished in 94, so yeah, it would have been 22. Decided to have another go at getting into art school to do the graphic design diploma. Decided by this point I was getting absolutely sick of doing the portfolio, particularly the set pieces that the college set for you, so I pretty much said, right, this is it, I'm getting in this time, and I really gave it everything. Did all the pieces like they asked. Put in some of my best work I'd ever done and everything, and consequently got in and was told that my portfolio was one of the best submitted. So yeah, you might be surprised to learn that for someone who's been doing art since pretty much as long as they could talk, it took me 3 goes just to get into art school, but there you go. And having been to art school, a lot of people say that art school tends to change your style and leave you sort of learning how to paint the way that the lecturers teach you, and is sometimes seen as a bad thing. From my point of view, that's not what happened. I went through art school, started in there with my own style and came out with my own style, because pretty much the lecturers I had didn't enforce their style upon me, and they knew that it's better for people to allow their students to develop their own style. So, as far as I'm concerned, art school was probably one of the best things I ever did, even though it took me quite a few goes just to get into it. So that's my 5 facts. I'll nominate 5 people, and I'll list who I've nominated in the description, which is, I'll get this wrong, is not over there, it's over that way. There we go. So look at the description to see who I've tagged. Hope you found this interesting, and be sure to check out all the people that I've mentioned. I'll see you later.